Long before the rise of Rome, long before the classical world shaped its version of history, the lands of Britain and Gaul were home to ancient cultures whose stories stretched deep into prehistory. These lands, separated only by a narrow strait of water, shared a connected past, shaped by migrations, innovations, and the slow unfolding of human civilization on the western edge of Europe. To understand the earliest inhabitants of Britain and Gaul, we must travel back tens of thousands of years to a time when the world was colder, wilder, and entirely unfamiliar. During the Paleolithic era, small bands of hunter-gatherers roamed these territories, following herds of animals and adapting to harsh climates. Britain at this time was not an island. It was connected to continental Europe by a vast stretch of land now called Doggerland, a fertile plain dotted with rivers, lakes, and forests. Through this landscape, early humans moved freely between what we now call France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Britain. These first inhabitants left behind cave paintings, flint tools, and traces of seasonal camps. Their world was simple, but deeply connected to nature. As the last ice age ended and the glaciers retreated, the climate warmed, forests spread, and the wildlife changed. Around 8,000 years ago, rising sea levels finally submerged Doggerland, cutting Britain off from the mainland and creating the island we recognize today. By this time, Mesolithic hunter-gatherers had established a way of life centered around fishing, foraging, and small-scale nomadic living. They crafted microlith tools, built wooden structures along rivers, and navigated waterways using dugout canoes. But a great transformation was coming, one that would reshape Britain and Gaul forever. Around 4000 BC, the Neolithic revolution reached Western Europe. Farming arrived, likely brought by migrating groups from the Near East who had traveled along the Mediterranean and up through Central Europe. These new settlers introduced wheat, barley, domesticated animals, pottery, and permanent settlements. Forests were cleared for fields, and for the first time, people began to build monumental structures, stone tombs, chambered cairns, causewayed enclosures, and ritual landscapes. The early farmers mingled with the native hunter-gatherers, blending cultures and technologies. In Britain and Gaul, this period saw remarkable creativity. Long barrows and megalithic graves appeared across the landscape. Communities built circular gathering sites known as henges, vast earthwork enclosures that served as ceremonial centers. These were the early seeds of the monumental architecture that would define prehistoric Britain. By 3000 BC, Britain entered a golden age of megalith building. Massive stones were moved from distant quarries. Tombs became larger and more complex. And then, near the banks of the River Avon, construction began on what would become one of the most iconic prehistoric structures in the world, Stonehenge. Built in several stages over more than 1,000 years, Stonehenge represents the culmination of Neolithic engineering, social cooperation, and astronomical awareness. Similar stone circles emerged across Britain, from the Orkney Islands in the north to Cornwall in the south. Gaul, too, saw the rise of megalithic culture, with sites like the Carnac stones of Brittany, rows of thousands of standing stones stretching across the landscape. These monuments reveal a shared cultural network that connected Britain and Gaul through trade, migration, and shared traditions long before written history emerged. Around 2500 BC, new waves of migrants entered Britain and Gaul from Central Europe. Among them were the people associated with the bell beaker culture, named after their distinctive pottery shaped like inverted bells. They brought metallurgy, crafting tools and ornaments from copper and eventually bronze. Their arrival marked a significant cultural shift. The Beaker people blended with local communities, introducing new burial practices, new styles of clothing and weaponry, and new social structures. DNA evidence shows that this migration dramatically reshaped the population of Britain, bringing new lineages and perhaps new languages into the region. The Bronze Age saw the rise of hilltop settlements, growing trade networks, and increasing social hierarchy. People mined tin in Cornwall and copper in Wales, creating bronze that was traded across Europe. Elite graves contained swords, jewelry, and finely crafted metalwork that demonstrated wealth and status. As the centuries passed, the cultures of Britain and Gaul developed in parallel. By the late Bronze Age and early Iron Age, around 800 to 500 BC, a new cultural horizon emerged across much of Western Europe, the Celtic world. The Celts were not a single nation, but a collection of tribes who shared similar languages, art styles, beliefs, and technologies. They were farmers, warriors, craftsmen, and traders, living in hill forts and farmsteads across Britain and Gaul. Their art was dynamic and flowing, filled with spirals, animal motifs, and intricate patterns. In Gaul, tribes like the Aedui, the Arverni, and the Helvetii rose to power, forming alliances and rivalries that shaped the region's politics for centuries. In Britain, tribes such as the Iceni, Brigantes, Trinovantes, and Catuvelloni controlled vast territories, each with its own leadership and identity. These societies were far from primitive. They built large hill forts, minted coins, farmed efficiently, and traded with Mediterranean civilizations. Gaul's position made it a central hub of trade between Britain and the Roman world. British tin, Gaulish salt, wine, pottery, and iron flowed along established trade routes. Yet despite their sophistication, these cultures left no written records of their own. What we know comes from archaeology, folklore, and the writings of outsiders, especially the Greeks and Romans. The Romans described the peoples of Gaul and Britain as fiercely independent, skilled in warfare, and deeply connected to their tribal identities. Their warriors fought with long swords, large shields, and a passion that both impressed and unnerved Roman soldiers. When Rome looked north, it saw only fierce warriors painted in blue. But beneath the surface lived a civilization governed not by kings or conquerors, but by knowledge. These were the ancient Druids of Britain. They were the intellectual and spiritual elite of the Celtic world, philosophers, judges, healers, astronomers, and religious leaders whose influence shaped society at every level. Though they left no written records, classical accounts and archaeological clues reveal a priestly class deeply connected to the natural world, drawing spiritual meaning from forests, rivers, and the movements of the sun and moon. They believed in the immortality of the soul, the cyclical nature of life, and the sacred balance between humanity and the cosmos. Their knowledge blended astronomy, ritual practice, oral tradition, moral law, and natural philosophy. Using stone circles and sacred groves as open-air temples, they tracked celestial cycles with remarkable precision and conducted ceremonies that marked seasonal transitions and honored the unseen forces of the world. To the Druids, spirituality was not separated from everyday life. It shaped leadership, justice, warfare, healing, and the moral fabric of society. Their teachings formed the backbone of ancient British culture, preserving a worldview that saw the universe as a living, interconnected whole. In the 1st century BC, Julius Caesar turned his attention to Gaul. Over the course of years, he waged a brutal and transformative campaign that reshaped the region forever. Many tribes resisted fiercely, most famously under the leadership of Vercingetorix, who united much of Gaul in a desperate final stand. But the Roman war machine prevailed. Rome recognized the spiritual power of the Druids and systematically dismantled their order. Sacred groves were cut down, altars were destroyed, initiates were hunted. Yet despite Rome's efforts, traces of the mysteries survived, in the legends of Merlin, in the myths of Avalon, in the old bardic songs, and in the enduring presence of the megalithic monuments that still stand today. Gaul became part of the Roman Empire, its culture gradually transforming under Roman rule, though many traditions survived beneath the surface. Britain, however, remained outside Rome's grasp until the invasion under Emperor Claudius in AD 43. Some tribes submitted, while others resisted fiercely, such as the Iceni, led by the legendary Queen Boudica, who launched a powerful rebellion but was ultimately defeated. Over time, southern Britain became Romanized, adopting Roman cities, roads, and lifestyles, while the north and west largely maintained older ways of life. But the story of early Britain and Gaul is not defined by the Romans. Rather, it is defined by the countless generations that came before them. From the first hunter-gatherers who walked across the now submerged plains of Doggerland to the Neolithic farmers who built some of the world's most enduring monuments. From the Bronze Age metalworkers who shaped trade across Europe to the Iron Age tribes who forged distinctive identities, the early inhabitants of Britain and Gaul built societies that were dynamic, resilient, and deeply interconnected. Their legacy lives on in the landscapes, the archaeological sites, the languages, and the cultural memory of Europe. Their world was not a forgotten backwater, but a thriving crossroads of migration, innovation, and community. And while the Romans left an undeniable mark, the story of Britain and Gaul stretches far deeper, into the very roots of European civilization, shaped by thousands of years of human ingenuity, adaptation, and endurance. The history of these ancient lands reminds us that every civilization, no matter how distant in time, is part of a much larger human journey, one that began long before the first written word and continues to shape us today. The story of early Britain and Gaul is a reminder that these lands were shaped not by a single people or a single moment, but by countless generations who adapted, built, fought, traded, and dreamed long before the ancient world had a name for them. Their monuments still stand. Their landscapes still hold the memory of their footsteps, and their legacy continues to echo through the cultures that followed. If you enjoyed this journey into the deep past, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join me again as we uncover more hidden chapters of human history.